All right. We are live. Welcome to BS session 87. I got a fever of the Saturday night variety, and the only cure is more
impact.
Oh, shit. Come on, click.
Because I have a shotgun and rifle that I use for, and 22 gauge that I use for ptarmigan, moose, and black bear.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
You're listening to your weekly dose of BS, Ballistically Speaking. The Ballistically Speaking Podcast.
I was waiting for the fries are done.
Ain't that kind of ding.
Quite.
Oh, shit.
Interestingly enough, I do have a cowbell, and I've carried on my dad's tradition at weddings. You know how they'll clink the glasses to get the bride and the groom to kiss? My dad will smuggle in a cowbell under his jacket, and then after about the third or fourth time, he'll just bring out the cowbell and start shaking it. I've done that at least a couple times, so don't invite me to your wedding is my advice.
Did you cause any fights?
I did not cause any fights, thankfully. Not caused any wedding fights yet, so.
Hey, here's a question. Do Ukrainians step on a glass like some of the other people?
No. That's the Jews.
That's too precious.
Is that only the Jews? The Orthodox Ukrainians don't do that?
No. That's very Jewish.
What? You want to wreck perfectly good plastic? What is wrong with you?
Yes.
I feel like I learned something tonight already, and we're only 2 minutes into the show.
Okay, that's good.
It'll happen when you hang out with me.
Learning things and learning valuable things are two different things.
Learning is still learning.
Yeah, learning is still learning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I need a hard drive purge to get rid of the useless thing. Oh, did I just blank out, or did you guys all?
No, we thought you were going to talk.
Yep. You're a little bit
camp internet again. Sorry, guys.
No worries. Semi unclear.
What? How can you tell? All right, we should probably get into sponsors and stuff, hey?
Yeah, I guess we could
bypass the uncomfortable silence. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Good Saturday evening. Sorry to...
Well, silence is for you guys, but I don't think that's going to happen today.
Yeah, probably not. Okay, as always, our featured sponsors, starting with EM Precision Rifles in Leduc, Alberta. Building Canada's finest precision rifles. Commission a build today at emprifles.ca.
And Bolt Action Coffee, bringing specialty coffee to the precision shooting world. Order coffee and merchandise at boltactioncoffee.com.
Also, they were serving coffee both mornings at the match.
And it was so good.
Very good coffee. Speaking of, we're also brought to you by Callsign 66, Canada's best rifle training. Welcome to the Brotherhood. Book a course now at callsign66.ca and follow them on Instagram at callsign66 and on Facebook at cs/66.
All right. And Odell Engineering. Pick up a Canuck shotgun or Bergara rifle from your local distributor and tell them Phil sent you. Look them up at odellengineeringltd.com.
And don't want to forget about Apex Optics. When you buy Apex, precision comes standard. Check out all the fine competition rifle scopes, red dots, and binoculars at apexoptics.co.
And also, thank you very much for putting on the match last weekend, which we'll get talking about here right shortly. We're also brought to you by Ribstone Gunsmithing, craftsmanship done right. Contact Oscar at ribstonegunsmithing.ca and breathe life back into any firearm.
We're just making notes here. the Shooting Edge in Calgary, Alberta, home of the Sterling Arms R18, an indoor range training courses, a 6-lane axe throwing bay, and the One Shot One Spill Cafe. Find them on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, X, and on their website at theshootingedge.com.
And last but not least, we have March Scopes Canada. The Dion Optical Design line of rifle scopes has scope for all your hunting and shooting needs. Find Doug and Niza at marchscopes.ca.
And also a special thank you to JR from the Shooting Edge for the use of trailer and his army truck at the match. It was much appreciated.
I'd also like
Good
to
stuff.
give a shout out to Park DeRoche Coatings in Saskatoon. They helped us out once again this year with the CRPS matches out at the Rooster Rifle Ranch. Yeah, they're coming through again. I got to get some social media posts out there, some pictures and all that kind of stuff. I've been slacking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Anyway,
those are
Park DeRoche Coatings. Look them up for your scaffolding and industrial coatings needs. All right, I think I'm done. There's a real bad delay with me, probably. Hey,
actually not too bad.
Not too bad.
no.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're pretty good still. Yeah,
I
it
gotta
was
talk to my
definitely
internet
those.
service provider in camp.
You're lucky you get basic cable.
Yeah. All right. So, tell us stories. How did that shoot go? First impressions. Where do we want to start with this?
Can we start with the weather?
Yeah, we'll start
Yes.
with the weather. Let's start big, move small.
Yeah. So weather, hot. Oh my word, was it warm that weekend?
Also, the
Not as-
What did it get
mosquitoes.
to for temperature?
I want to say on Thursday we had to be at least 30.
I think we're
Well,
more
we-
than that.
Suck it, Jens.
Hey, we're doing a Saturday night special, okay? This is
Yes.
legendary what we're doing right now.
Our foray into the live streams may not have cut the mustard.
Mm-hmm. So
Okay.
Yeah,
wind
Hot.
conditions. Like, okay, it was hot. Was that both days?
All weekend.
And you guys shot all day Friday too, didn't you?
I shot Friday with the ROs, and then I RO'd and did whatever I needed to Saturday, Sunday.
yeah, Mike and I spoke to Carly and Vanya basically when it was first announced, and we jumped on the volunteer bus. So we were there Thursday morning, Thursday about noon, all the way till Monday I left at about noon. So we were there for a whole escapade, set up, running, tear down, ROing, etc. So
Right.
that was our 5 days of the event essentially. So
Is it weird that I like volunteering as much as shooting? Is that weird?
no,
I think it kind of is. So it's different, definitely atypical.
yes.
Different kind of fun, but I did thoroughly enjoy ROing that weekend.
So, for people who haven't shot 18 stages in one day, Mike, like you did on Friday, what is that like?
Well, it sucks for one reason that you're carrying all your ammo on one day.
Mm-hmm.
So your backpack gets pretty heavy during them first couple of stages.
Yeah,
Not that we were walking too far, but you do notice there's excess ammo with the bag.
that's fair.
And then the other thing too, when the ROs are shooting, like you're kind of making sure all the props are going to be good, and that if there's a line of sight issue, you have multiple people confirming it. So.
Yeah.
Didn't actually have too many issues with the RO shoot, but it was a good time, and we had some awesome ROs helping us too.
Yeah, that was good.
Pretty much how it went.
So did you
Yeah.
guys kind of have to hopscotch a little bit, or did you have ROs for every station, every stage?
It was pretty much ROs for every stage. Like 1 or 2 people had to jump just because the squads were moving ahead and there was no one at their stage. But other than that, we had an RO for every stage, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the heat that you guys saw out there, did you see any troubles with rifles because of that heat?
I was hitting high and right basically the whole week when I shot.
I think that's kind of to be expected to some degree, isn't it?
Because how we were shooting is there was the field, and what people didn't realize is there was a lot of like little dips and valleys going on up to the targets, and then it's basically a big hill that we were shooting to the side of. And then I was talking with somebody else after, and it was, well, did you consider the thermals coming off, like the updraft? And I'm thinking that's why I was hitting high and right possibly all weekend.
Wow, might be a contributor, yeah.
It didn't help.
One thing that was interesting to me that I saw twice with one shooter that was one RO that I was actually ROing on the Friday. I RO'd one squad of just ROs. And I saw one shooter that had 2 primer failures. The primer was struck, but nothing went off. You could shake the round and you could hear powder was in there. And it was 2 instances of faulty primers.
Well, if you could hear the powder shaking around inside that case, he clearly didn't have enough powder in it. Everybody knows that.
I would, yes.
Is it possible that I reloaded his ammunition?
Yeah, right. No, Chris, you would have loaded way too much, I think.
Yeah.
Using
2 years ago at Sapril, I had a round that. 2 years ago at Sapril, I had a round that I didn't even put a primer in.
You see
I
the
picked up the round to put it in my
magazine?
magazine. I picked up the round to put it in my magazine, and the fucking powder started dripping at the bottom of the case.
I thought it was standard practice for you to use your 168 308 load for your 212s.
That's cute that you think I have a standard practice.
Trying to give you the benefit of the doubt there.
Oh, you're so kind.
Yeah. So, Derek, first of all, I guess I cut you off there a little while ago. You had something to say. I'm sure it was profound.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, I was just basically saying two struck primers and nothing went off. You could hear there was powder in there, and I could tell there's like a little bit of room between the bullet and powder. So you can tell it was full and it didn't even squib or go off or anything. One round he attempted to restrike and nothing. So that's
Did he happen to say what
for,
primers?
I didn't actually catch what primers he's using.
Yeah.
So so that was the only thing. And then I know there was one loaner rifle went out from EM Precision to a shooter at the very beginning, because I think they had their rifle go out like the day before. So
I heard you guys talking about that, I thought, on one of your lives out there. Do you recall details behind that, or just that somebody had to borrow a rifle?
I just recall that someone had borrowed a rifle.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah.
There were a couple people borrowing rifles just because either theirs went down or it was their first match and they needed a rifle.
And there were a couple of guys shooting. There was one guy shooting a 7 mag and another guy shooting a 300 Win mag or something.
Run what you brung.
Yeah,
Are you sure it was a 7 mag? I was told they were both 300 Win mags.
I'm not sure. That's just what I thought I recalled from either what you guys were saying or what I read.
Not that there's that much of a difference there, but
My report from the Brass Goblins was it was a 7 Rem mag.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's a very reliable source. I like that source.
Oh, man. Some squads had it down where it's like, okay, shooter, okay, clear, shooter's clear. 4 guys jump in there and start just like rifling through the grass for brass. It was the funniest. Right. I commend them on their efficiency as an RO. It was nice to see.
That was part of the challenge of the match. Is this was in a pasture. It was facing west, and it was basically facing into the edge of the foothills, like towards the mountains. So you had that area, and the grass was rather thick, and I would say about 6 to 8 inches tall in some places, and further down range, I'd garner taller. So it was very easy to lose brass. The ground was wet, so any misses were quickly eaten up by that grass and wet ground. So you got minimal dust and minimal trace. So that made it difficult to spot your misses.
There was virtually no feedback for the whole weekend. I think on 18 stages, I saw dirt for about 4. Total.
Smokes. Wow.
And for the overwhelming majority of the targets, there was basically no berm behind them. It was essentially just flat ground behind them. There's
now you suckers know what we deal with at King of 2 Miles. The zero feedback Bermuda Triangle of shooting ranges.
Yeah.
So going back to those Magnum calibers, I'm assuming they were the only two kind of out of the ordinary between the various 6s and some of the 6.5s, I'm sure, and probably a couple of 25s, like 25 Creeds and that. Were there any what do I say, special conditions placed on those Magnum shooters, or how did the MD handle that?
They were single feeding
and is
rounds.
that outside the rules, the PRS rules, or is it still allowed?
Under PRS rules, the largest caliber is 30 cal, and the maximum velocity is 32,000 feet per second.
3,200.
32,000. Wow.
Sorry, 3,200. shooting literal laser beam bullets. So those are the rules via PRS. That's what laid out. It doesn't explicitly say no Magnum calibers, but a lot of Magnum calibers, of course, exceed that 3,200 feet per second rule.
I think it does say no Magnums in the rule book.
I think it might be a section there that does say no Magnums as well too.
I will say though, those guys were great sports about it.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Props to them for showing up for their first match as a very challenging 2-day PRS match. Maybe they don't know quite what they were biting off, but they took it in stride, and yeah, good for them. Maybe someone could talk to them and tell them, maybe for your current rifle setups, NRL Hunter is maybe a little bit better way to go if you want to get into the rifle shooting competition world.
Yeah.
But hey, yeah, those are good for you guys showing up and pounding that shoulder. So
how many? Mike, I guess you would know how many rounds expended for that match. I guess at least for you personally.
Oh, I think I was on the stages were roughly 10 to 12 rounds. I was on average maybe 7 rounds a stage. So whatever 7 times 18 is. I haven't gone through my brass yet. It's still sitting in the bottom of my backpack.
Yeah, there was a lot of guys timing out. The total round count for the match was 191. So, and I don't think anybody, even the winner, got all those rounds off. So,
no. Well,
yeah.
I can tell you from experience, even 100 rounds of 300 mag over the course of a weekend is a pile, especially when it's hot.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. Yikes.
Yeah, and no break either. So
thin barrel, light rifle.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
like it was a hunting rifle, like straight up.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you mentioned match times or stage times. Sorry.
Yeah.
It was this. So being a, am I right in how I'm saying this, Pro Series match?
Yeah, Pro Series match, correct.
Okay. Is everything 90 seconds then?
No, all the part times, with the exception of one stage, was 2 minutes. So
That's still not a great deal of time.
No, very much so not. The exception for that stage is that there was a quote unquote blind stage in which shooters were to size a target with the Apex Summit Pro reticle and basically get the distance by sizing the target with the reticle. So doing some stadiometric range finding. So that stage, they gave you an extra 15 seconds, which was not a lot more to get to get those shots off, especially considering there was 2 targets as well too. Not a single target, but 2 targets. So
it was more than enough time for me to range the targets wrong.
Right.
I did get ranges, but when I did the calculator, it was not what was out there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, no kidding. I used to actually practice that years and years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Got reasonably decent with it, but man, that is tough to do, and especially you put a tight time on that.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's tough. It's a cool stage to do though.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think it has its value because even if you're off and you get your first shot off, I think the skill is correcting your miss. Like if you tell that you are low, so you get a ballpark number for your yardage. Obviously, you plug that in your calculator and get your dope. You take your first shot, and you can tell that's low. How well can you correct that shot? Because I don't think it's necessarily how well can you size and range the target. It's more so how well can you correct your miss based off that initial distance calculation.
For sure.
If that makes sense.
If you can get feedback.
If you can get feedback.
That would have been
there might have been some times during the day where you could get feedback, but it was probably pretty spotty.
Yeah.
Early morning would probably been all right, since you're shooting directly west by the sounds of it. Yeah.
Yeah, but the wind was not your friend.
Oh, it was up all day, both days?
No, it would come, it would go, and when the wind was on, you'd watch a weather flag, and it's just doing this the whole time, just back forth, back forth.
There were significant numbers of times that it was very gusty.
Yeah, Saturday morning was probably the most tame, but that quickly went away. So just enough for people to get a little bit of confidence, and then have it dashed.
Just crush them.
Yes.
Like in between stages, I went 1.5 mils. Okay, boom, hit it. Do it again. Should have held nothing.
Oh, no kidding.
I watched the dirt. It's like 600 yards.
Is that right? 1.5. That's a lot in a couple of seconds.
Mm.
And boom, switch position. 1.5 again. Okay, I got it. Watched it hit the dirt that time. I should have held straight on the plate.
Oh, no kidding. What were you shooting, Mike? Your PSC?
I was shooting a 6 mil.
Oh, okay.
Built by our friends at EM Precision.
The 6 mil Creed.
Because I can buy that at Canadian Tire if I don't load for
it. You should probably fix that. Yeah.
Time is a valuable thing, my friend. Time is a valuable thing. As Lincoln Park once said.
Abraham Lincoln?
Joel Anthony.
Yeah.
Happy winner of the EM Precision Rifle a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He says, "Happy Saturday, boys. Look like an awesome match. I'm squirrel hunting right now, so I can only pop in for a second. Can't wait to hear about it all." Squirrel hunting.
Yeah, there's.
BC.
I believe that's a
Is that
dish
some
best
sort of
served
weird
fried.
sex euphemism?
Maybe. I don't know.
Just tracking down small furry creatures in the woods. No big deal.
All right, so the match overall, do you suppose, like it sounds like a lot of people had a tough time with the stage times.
Mhm.
Do you suppose it was too tough, or just challenging enough? People had bad days. What do you think? I guess was the overall feel.
I'll let Mike go first, and then I'll provide my answer.
Okay, so my thoughts on the matches: the target sizes were adequate for what a Pro Series match, in my opinion, should look like. The environment kind of messed with everybody. Those are my thoughts on it.
Like
Okay.
the environment being the tall grass, no feedback, and
No
heat.
feedback. I was ROing stage 18. You'd have one squad come up, his wind is 200 miles an hour the one direction. Next squad comes up, maybe 20 minutes later, dead calm.
Oh, no kidding.
And then this is going on during the day. Like, even with our ROs, we thought, oh yeah, nice in the morning. RO shoot in the afternoon, the wind was just going nuts. I was watching one of the Kestrel veins just back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
My thoughts are as followed: as yes, the terrain, I'll say, of the match made it difficult, i.e. the tall grass, wet ground, lack of berms, and stage design. Looking over the match book initially when I got my hands on it, I could tell that basically there was challenges incorporated in every stage. I'll say it plainly: there wasn't really a bare bones stage, if that makes sense.
Shouldn't there be challenges with every stage?
Yes, I just think that they compounded with the environmentals, with the terrain, and with the stage design, and also target layout. A lot in the States, it's very popular now that you have a large swing in target direction. So this field, we set up a very long firing line. There was some like 40 to 60 degree pans in between targets. So target acquisition was very important. That's something the style we're seeing in the States. So Vanya tried to incorporate in there that as well. Some people were complaining about the props. There were a few props that were more difficult than others, but I think a lot of people kind of put their crutch on the prop as their excuse.
Some of them have to be valid, I'm sure, but you bloody well deal with it, and every shooter has to use that same prop, don't they?
That's the same story.
I will also say, if you want super stable props, you can always try bench rest.
Or F class.
Or F class. There are places you can shoot super stable if that's your crutch.
So take a look at the live that we did from stage 1 on day 2. It was called Over a Barrow. It was an overturned wheelbarrow, and you were off of the two, what do you call them? The tines of the wheelbarrow. What do you call those?
The legs?
Legs?
Yeah, you could call them legs. I call them
legs.
rungs.
Okay, the two legs of the wheelbarrow, and then on the tire itself. And although at the beginning the bolts had been tightened down, it was an old wheelbarrow. They seemed to have loosened up, and people, especially when we were doing the live stream, some people were having difficulty with the wheelbarrows wobbling, the legs wobbling on them when they were positioned on them. And that doesn't seem like that much of a surprise to me when you consider that for 2 days, everybody who was on the wheel portion was leaning on the legs, and it just seems like, okay, they're going to loosen them up.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as we were done the live stream, we saw somebody grab their big pump bag, and they just dropped it in between the two legs, and it pushed the legs out sideways, and that person enjoyed a completely stable set of legs to put his rifle on. So sometimes it seems to me, as a non-shooter, that maybe some get caught up in the event. Maybe it's nerves, maybe it's whatever. And then you've got this one guy that just thinks about the stage for a second. And, he drops a pump bag in the middle of there. What did he score, Derek? Like a 6 or a 7?
Yeah, he did pretty good. Yep.
And everybody else was scoring like 0, 1, 2, 3. And, so it seems to me like, okay, there was one unstable prop that I think got more unstable throughout the week. And still all it took was somebody to stop for a second and say, hey, I wonder what would happen if I dropped my pump bag in the middle of there.
And also, I think sometimes an unstable prop can be a mental challenge more than a physical challenge, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I have this unstable prop. What am I going to do about it? Like, obviously, I'm going to use my body, use my gear to stabilize myself as best as I can. But in terms of time management, maybe that means I take a little bit longer while my rifle is in target to build some stabilization, to take that initial kind of movement wobble out of the prop and let myself eat up more time for the value of getting more hits. I may not get the same number of shots off, but maybe the whole strategy is to make your shots count.
So in the PRS rulebook, is there like what sort of latitude does a shooter have for I'm not going to say modifying props, it's not the right way to put that maybe, but okay,
interact.
So, well, sure, okay, let's use that. And as an RO, how do you deal with something like that? Like I don't know what's in the finer details of a PRS rule book for something like that. Sure, you can use a bag to stabilize or rest your rifle on, stabilize your body, etc. But can you do anything to change the what do I say, the nature of the prop itself?
You can't modify the props, but you can modify how you shoot off of the props. Like I rode on one stage.
A bit gray to me, though.
Yeah,
my stage I went to there was the no tripod stage. So no tripods, and there was 4 points. Your rifle had to be supported by that point. Some people got smart and said, if I use my backpack and use that as a rear support instead, that would, or move it up more so they can have a better chance to shoot. There you go. You're still shooting within the spirit of the stage. You're not using your tripod, but you're using your backpack in a different way that most people didn't think of.
Yeah. There's got to be some creativity, I guess, too. Hey,
if it's not in the match book, it's allowed.
So,
true.
And I think that's where some of it kind of came in. Is there's definitely some more difficult props, like Bending just said that I pulled up the comment. Everybody can shoot off of rocks, tank trap, car hood, etc., trailer. Not everybody can shoot off a weird prop like a wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
So I think
I've seen some forums, stateside that guys are, guys chirp at each other. And some guys will say, well, holy fuck, everybody now wants to shoot off some rock solid thing, and complain when they don't get that. So I don't know, is that what's normal, what's accepted, what's not? I don't know.
I think there is the line. Like, a lot of people were definitely harping on the wheelbarrow, which did have its merit, because we did see when Chris and I were live streaming, there's at least, I'd say, 2 or 3 people. They threw their bag on the leg of the wheelbarrow, and whether it be in their movement or manipulation, the rifle slipped off the bag. I'll say that kind of does become a little bit borderline, where there's not enough contact area to have a stable support for the rifle. So one could say that becomes a bit of a safety issue.
For sure, but one of the fundamental, I don't know if this is the right way to put it, but one of the fundamental tenets of of being a good rifleman, rifle person, whatever, is your ability to control that rifle all the time.
Yep. Yeah, very much so it is. So I think, yeah, that's something people should be paying attention to, and some it might just be a mental thing.
Because there's plenty of props where you had less surface contact with a rifle.
Mm-hmm.
Like you look at on the truck stage, for example, the rail you're shooting off of is this big.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like an inch across. You put your bag on top of that, and you only have like an inch of support on that rifle. Same with the cattle gate. You're shooting on a 1-inch tube frame cattle gate.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that wheelbarrow had like
outside the
had
wheelbarrow.
like 2-inch strap, 2-inch legs on that wheelbarrow. You had longer surface contact.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
I do have a question here, guys.
Yeah.
As the least experienced in shooting in this group, this was a qualifier match for Team Canada for Kaplan, correct?
As
Yes.
far as I know.
Yeah.
And so I assume that what that means is if you qualify, then you get to represent Team Canada in what I presume would be an international competition, correct?
Well, it's one of the qualifiers. You need multiple qualifiers to make Team Canada, is my understanding.
Yeah, basically to demonstrate your performance.
So not just this singular match, but this match and matches like it will lead you to qualifying for Team Canada so that you can compete in what I assume is international competition.
Yes.
As close as we get to the Olympics without being singed by the torch, yes.
Okay. So then should those qualifiers not represent the courses of fire that you are likely to encounter in those international competitions when you're potentially representing Team Canada?
Yes.
I would argue we should be training harder.
Mm.
So it's my understanding that the course of fire for the Rocky Mountain Challenge was set up with the what's the word I'm looking for? Collaboration of Ken Wheeler from PRS.
Yes.
There were multiple match directors, including Ken Wheeler, that were consulted for this match.
Yes.
That's what I was looking for, the word consultant. Mm-hmm. So presumably they were consulting with people like Ken Wheeler to ensure that the course of fire was at least reasonably representative of these types of international competitions. Is that safe to assume?
Yes.
So then, just following this to its logical progression, if the course of fire was representative of the level of difficulty that any qualifier is likely to encounter at an international competition while representing this country, then would it not be an appropriate level of difficulty?
I would say yes, but one caveat is you could set up a match at one range and have the difficulty change dramatically if it was set up at a different range.
Yeah, I think so.
Your terrain will come into play, so I definitely agree with where you're going, Chris, and I accept your conclusion. I'm just saying from my perspective, you had this was the first event held on this location. So you have minimal gauge as to what are the natural challenges on this piece of terrain. I think that's the other thing you got to factor in with your course of fire design is
what you're saying makes sense.
Yeah.
Although it's probably worth mentioning that at least the preliminary designs for this course of fire were not designed for that piece of land, because they had another piece of land that they lost 12 days before the match.
12 days.
It wasn't 12 days. It was not 12
days. Say it with more disdain, please, Mike. Do it.
No, Chris is just saying a number. No, it was not 12 days.
It was not 12 days.
There was no way it was 12 days.
There was
Not
no
even.
way.
What do you think it was? I was specifically told 12 days.
It was weeks ahead. It was not 12 days.
Well, you know that 12
It
days
was
is only
so.
2 days off of 2 weeks, right?
It was a
No,
short amount of time.
it was multiple weeks, like months ahead, not weeks.
Ladies, please.
Yeah.
That's not what I was told. I was told 12 days.
I was
Okay,
told
so
I would be a
even-
black belt in origami, and that didn't turn out either.
So Blind Spotter brings it up. I don't think all props need to be rock solid, but it should be something I would actually consider resting my rifle on in a real life situation.
Well, and I thought about my earlier statement too about responsible or safe rifleman, whatever,
Mhm.
should be able to handle his or her rifle all the time. However, there's probably got to be a safe limit on that too. We have to consider that as well. I also want to add with this timeline for procuring a new range or new spot to shoot, even if it was 5 or 6 weeks. I can imagine it's tough to find a range or a suitable location in the first place.
Yes.
And that I know damn well, especially in cases like this where they don't have a regular spot and they're they're begging and borrowing. To then shift gears and try and find another suitable spot. I can tell you from all the farmland that we had when I set up my range 15 years ago or whatever it was out at the farm, it took a long time, even on the land that was available to me, to find a good suitable spot.
Yeah.
Like years.
Well, I'll reiterate what I said. And I think the confusion may be Mike may be thinking about when they lost the other range. But I was told specifically that they found the range that they ended up using only 12 days before the match.
Yeah.
Okay. Regardless, that's got to be
Yeah.
tough, and
Yeah.
to make a course of fire suitable for that. The other thing that's been going through my mind too is there how deep does the criteria go for stage design, match design, within the PRS rules? Like there's no template as far as I know. I would imagine the basics are covered, like round count or maybe even number of stages, may say minimum
Yes.
number of stages. Maybe you have to have a couple of stages that you use that
PRS barricade.
PRS barricade.
That's a mandatory stage, and that
Right.
barricade is designed, and the stages that you shoot from that barricade are pre-designed. That's kind of a
Jens
leveler
is the zinger.
stage. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Jens, grumpy old Germany comes up with some good ones sometimes. He says, it turns out that sloped roofs are way too dangerous even for professionals, so clearly it's not easy to set up a course of fire. Good point, Jens.
I mean, you slope roof, you got to think about fall protection and
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
High
right.
off
Yeah,
points.
your roped off area. Yeah. Anchor points.
emergency
You know what I
rescue
used to-
plan.
Mhm.
I used to put on shoots years ago before PRS was a thing. I used to call it practical rifle. And Bending Ballistics is talking about a suspended platform.
Mhm.
And I had, a 4x8 platform suspended off chains. And everybody squealed like hell about that thing. I loved it. Like, shut the fuck up and shoot.
Yeah.
I imagine that probably gets a little bit old after a while, but I thought it was great because it does pose a real challenge, and you got to kind of like how often do you encounter a shooting surface like that? Where the damn thing is not only going back and forth like this; it's kind of going in an an elliptical type, like almost a figure eight. to line that target up and time it and hit it.
Yeah, so. I think it kind of goes to some of those stages of more of a mental challenge than a physical challenge.
So does that? I wonder. Like, are we? The level of matches that we kind of typically shoot in Canada, or at least maybe let's narrow it down to Western Canada, because I really don't. Outside of Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and a little bit of BC, have we been? I don't know. This isn't the right way to put it, but babied maybe. Everybody feels a reasonably high degree of confidence when we go to the matches like this that we're used to, and then when we're presented with a real tough horse of fire, it causes this much problem for shooters.
No, because realistically, we're just 5 years behind the U.S. That's all it is.
Ha! People love hearing that too, don't they?
We're just like, they're doing the stuff, and in 5 years we'll be doing those things too. So it's just a time thing.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of shooters haven't been presented with this kind of challenge before, and those that were able to take it in stride and understand the job they needed to do was put hits on target and worry about the next trigger pull. I think those guys were the ones that you saw rise to the top, and those that had every excuse and profanity in the book. Well, there's a reason why they're further down the list. So I think it's just a mental thing. A lot of shooters haven't been challenged like this unless it was their first match like 6 years ago or 7 years ago now. They don't quite remember what it's like to average 3 or 4 hits per stage anymore.
Yeah, that's pretty fair too, I think. Yeah. So
also, just to put it in perspective too, for those listening, the winning shooter shot a 70%. So there was 191 points available, and the winning shooter hit 133 of those points.
We're not going to talk about my score.
Yes.
Come on, Mike. Come on.
So,
Mike.
Okay, Rooster, guess. Since you know what the high end is, guess where I fell in there.
Mm-hmm.
How many points?
Are we going percentage or?
No, we're going to go point count.
So, okay, what was max point value?
Max point value of the match was 191, and the winner did it with 133.
I'm going to say Mike was in around 97 points.
Ooh. You minus about 70 some from that, you'd be close.
Shut your mouth, really?
Solid 28.
Mm.
Wow.
To put in perspective, to the best RO that shot on Friday shot 80 points. So,
is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. See, because I know how you shoot, Mike and Derek.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's rimfire. This is centerfire.
Well, no, that's
Mike is a rimfire wizard. Still getting his legs under him when it comes to centerfire.
I'm okay with rimfire.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
It could be better.
Okay. So compare this then. Let's use U.S. shoots. I mean, if any of us have any knowledge, reference, whatever. I know everybody hates that, but we just finished saying that everything that the U.S. 5 years later will end up doing. So in a typical Pro Series PRS match in the States, well, maybe even the hardest ones, let's say, that you can think of. I don't know if you have any real numbers, but what do those scores look like? Any idea?
Unfortunately, I don't have any idea. However, I was reading through the PRS rules, and in the PRS rules, they say for match design that ideally the winner of the match should be about 85% of basically hits of total available points. And they say this explicitly to make it challenging, but not too discouraging to new shooters. So that from the organization of PRS is the aim for essentially how difficult a match should be.
Right.
So if you put that in perspective, again, this match was tougher and the winner only shot a 70%. Again, first time MD, first time at the location, quick changes, a learning process.
Yeah.
But I would expect that a lot of PRS matches are in that range. And I think maybe our Canadian matches, sometimes we see the winner in that 90 to 95% range, depending on the match. I don't have a whole lot of back.
Earlier, when I was talking earlier about, I think I said typical match difficulty for what we've seen. It didn't mean to imply that any of the matches around are easy or gimmies by any means. Didn't mean to imply that they're lesser in any manner. But maybe the level of difficulty was jacked up a little bit. So there's a couple of things, right? There's we want as many people as possible to come out and shoot matches.
Correct.
Like first timers through to pros.
Yeah.
We want to see everybody generally. I just started thinking here lately, being as this particular match is a Pro Series match, and it's one of the Canadian qualifiers to make Team Canada to then go international. Would it be fair to say, and of course this has got to be handled differently, I guess, in the promotion, would it be fair to say maybe that this is intended to be a match with a difficulty level suitable to that qualification and or international level? So if you're a new shooter, just know that, and there's a good chance you might get spanked here.
Yes, you can still come out. Yeah, I think.
Should you be expecting to be good go if you're a new shooter? Like, I can't just roll up to the Olympic trap and be like, guys, I got this. I know I'm new, but gold's mine.
You look at MMA. There are those guys.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, there's one-offs, but realistically, if you're new, you're not going to win. That just accept it.
No, and I don't think there's any illusion of that for really anybody out there. I don't think. I guess where I was heading with this was, is there room in Canada for sort of two different tiers of matches, like this Pro Series being a next level, and then other matches being a, hey, everybody, let's go out and have fun and get together and like seriously challenge ourselves, but we're not in the NHL kind of thing here.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I think there should be, and I think there is a space for it. I think this can be the A game match. Like, this is the tough match. Tie your boots up tight, boys, because this is not going to be easy kind of match. I think if more people had that in their headspace coming into it, I think it would have been a different thing. And I think next year, if it continues, I think a lot more people will take it seriously that, hey, this is not a match for the faint of heart. This is where the pros are. This is where the Americans are coming up, and our very talented Canadians are really showing off their skills. I think there is space for it.
Yeah. But realistically, the Canadian team affects 11 people?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there's probably 50, 60 people in the running for those spots, but at the end of the day, there's only like 11 or 14 people that it actually affects that are actually going to be on the team. So do you want to design a match series essentially for 11 people?
The problem is...
well, I would imagine at the same time you don't want to design a match that isn't going to properly prepare those 11 people once they're on the team.
But those 11 people are probably traveling to the States to shoot anyways.
But why
Well, and
can't
that
we have
brings us to
something like
another
that
point.
here?
That brings us to another point of talking about this being 5 years behind the Americans. Is it just possible that the sport is 5 years behind, not the shooters?
No, it's
yes.
the Canadian gun culture, or whatever you want to call it. Whatever the Americans have 5 years later, we get it.
Yeah, so the sport, not the shooters, though.
They're just shooting in general in Canada.
Can you say that, though? Because, I mean, the reality is that a Canadian took first place, and Canadians were 5 of the top 10 shooters.
This is very true.
It is very
and
true.
How many Americans showed up?
16, I want to say.
I
12 or
thought there were
16?
12. 12, yeah, 12, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
And
guys, you always also have to consider too that the amount of matches, even club level matches, all over the effing states are like you could shoot every damn weekend. That is simply not the case in Canada. You know,
for a longer season too.
Yeah, for a longer season too.
I completely understand all of that, but there are a number of Canadian shooters, even just Western Canadian shooters, who have been doing quite well in American competitions.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, look at Jeff and Chris, for example, from Predator World Hunting, that have been doing really well at NRL in the States.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking the question, like, is it that the Canadian industry is behind, or the Canadian shooters that are behind? Because it seems that some Canadian shooters, at least, really aren't behind.
Yeah, this is very true. And I guess
Yeah, but is that the exception or the rule is the real question.
That's right.
Well, but also, I mean, let's keep this in perspective. We have 1/10 of the population as well.
Right.
Yeah. We are the population of some of their singular states.
Yeah, well, yeah. So if you're looking at like,
oh, did we lose Chris?
I don't know.
At level, call it, that would be capable of shooting, a particular match with an 85% hit rate, you would expect that 10 or less Canadians can do the same thing, just based off of the population levels and the law of averages.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the other thing I think of too with Canadian shooting versus at least this type of shooting versus the U.S. like a 6 mil 105 burger up here costs 95 fucking cents, and down in the States most places it's 45 cents.
Well, and isn't that a factor too, right?
Powder as well. That is powder as well, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's just overall more expensive, and then there's the expense of going to the States and the exchange and all that kind of stuff. Bending Ballistics just a little while back said Canadians should come shoot the Gap Grind in Tennessee. Yeah, well, first of all, there it is. First of all, Canadians do go shoot the Gap Grind. There may not be a whole crowd of them, but they do. But I mean, Jesus Christ, what's your travel costs down to Tennessee and back? And
it's damn near $5,000 weekend.
Well, yeah. So
yeah, and unfortunately, also
nobody. You got to choose between ammunition and a trip to Tennessee, or paying your rent and eating.
And also, flying internationally with a rifle is a bit haphazard. Driving is definitely the way to go. So as soon as you start driving, you're talking fuel, hotels, longer amounts of time. So,
and it also costs double to do it in the States.
Yeah, because
and it's not that Americans don't go through the same kind of thing. I mean, Americans will travel across the country to the Gap Grind and others. But yeah, it is very cost prohibitive in a lot of ways.
It's not that I don't want to go.
Right.
So if I can bring this back to this whole Canadian American conversation for just a second. So factoring all the things that have been mentioned in the last 5 to 7 minutes, is there really like, because there seems to be like people who get upset when comments are made like, well, we're 5 years behind Canadians or behind Americans, sorry. And so I guess ultimately, is there any reason in getting upset about that? Like, given all of the challenges that we've talked about, isn't it a little bit inevitable?
I think so. I think you just get to deal with challenges. I think that's part of being an athlete. Deal with challenges.
Yeah.
This
Absolutely.
sport
And
is
so
an
doesn't that
athletic
mean
sport. So
absolutely? And so doesn't that mean when Canadians are doing well, shouldn't we just celebrate that instead of getting butthurt when somebody points out that the American sport is ahead of the Canadian sport?
yeah, I think we should pick our battles. So
I'm not getting butthurt. I'm just saying it, stating it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
hey,
Blind
so
Spotter gets into it a
I'm
little
not
bit.
saying you got butthurt, Mike. I'm saying that like the people who get butthurt at you saying it is what I mean.
Mm-hmm. I know there's a
You know what I mean?
lot of Canadians that hate being compared to Americans, no matter the subject, and I get that to a certain degree. But I mean, fuck.
Hate to break it to everyone,
There's
but
too
we're
many
basically
feelings.
America.
It is a little bit ironic. Well, it is a little bit ironic how Canadians often, Canadian shooters at least, often envy the Second Amendment that Americans have with one breath, and in the next breath say, "Oh, they're not all that in a bag of chips."
I know, eh?
No one said that since the early 2000s, Chris.
oh god.
Except this guy.
Hey,
it's okay. You're bringing it back.
So I made a video, a short 2.5 minute video of pictures and clips from the match. How about let's take a little segue and watch that.
All right,
So
I do want to come back to one comment though.
Okay, sure.
When we're done that, I think it's pretty important.
Hold on.
You got it queued up there.
How do I play this?
Oh.
I will say though, in regards to Bending's comment about just going for to gap grind, for us to get to Tennessee is looking like a 30-hour drive, give or take.
One way.
As somebody who drove to Tennessee and further earlier this year, nobody wants to fucking do that.
I mean, I do it. You don't know me.
I drove through Tennessee to get to Florida in March, and like most people will not make that drive. Right. Yeah, that's true. I did it 2 times in a row in 1 month, and most people will not do that drive. They just won't.
No. Did we lose audio, or was that just on my end?
We lost audio. Yeah,
we lost the audio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I think I spotted the guy with the 300 mag, or am I wrong about that? Looked like he was battling some fairly significant recoil there.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, that didn't play the full demo, so I don't know what happened there, and I don't know what happened to the audio. My video program was crashing, so but unfortunately that didn't.
If I were you.
Didn't play to what I liked, so I apologize for that.
For 10 seconds there, that looked pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That looked pretty nice out there. Did they have those party tents or shade tents or whatever the heck? Did they have them set up for every stage, or was it
They
just
had
a
them at
select
every single stage.
Oh,
So that's one thing to bring up. Let's turn this ship a little bit more positive. Is this was what I like to call a luxury match.
Okay, let's hear
There
it.
was tents at every stage so you could get some shade. There was the nicest toilet trailer that you've ever seen.
It had air conditioning.
Was there
And
a
air
bidet?
fresheners. Not a bidet, but it was a step flush. They had like nice sinks in there, and like they had UV lights and like nice laminate countertop, and it was quite swanky. On
That
Saturday,
trailer will never see a job site.
Yes.
Yeah.
On Saturday, they brought in a food truck. So if you wanted to order food from the food truck, it was right there. So you could place your order, come back in a little bit between stages, have a nice burger, good to go.
Oh, is that right?
Friday after the zero shoot, once you put your life away, there was a little mini beer gardens, a little social escapade. Saturday, there was the prime rib supper at the Millerville Racetrack and Hall, and band, live band, $5 beers, and yours truly, Carly, even performed a 3-song set. So, unfortunately, I did not queue up that video, but that might be for another time. And let's just say Carly...
I'm sure she would appreciate that.
Yes.
She's got pipes still. Like,
Yes. She can sing. And then also to Sunday, once all the shooters had finished up, we resumed back to the Millerville Racetrack Hall, and there was a beef on the bun lunch, and also beer sales there as well. And then the award ceremony happened. So this was
you completely ignored the best part of that meal, which was the baked beans.
There were very good baked beans too.
What?
The beef is the highlight of that meal. The beef was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only saying that because I got there late and there was like no beef left, so all I had was beans.
So that's
also,
one thing I will say that separated it. Also, waters and Gatorade during
complimentary
the day.
Gatorade.
Yes,
that was
really
chef's kiss.
They went through like 12
ironic.
flats of Gatorade.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't doubt it. With 116 shooters there.
Mm-hmm.
The strategic supply of electrolyte in Calgary was negatively affected.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least they didn't try to draw water from the city system.
It may have been part of it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing too. For people who didn't want bottled water or Gatorade, there were 3 water refill stations stationed about every third of the way across the shooting line.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's got to help, especially
Yeah.
on the environmentals you guys were talking about.
So I will say it's kind of ironic that you had the most luxurious match that I've ever been to, and there are still people that let's just say we're being negative Nancy's. So
yeah.
I think this can become the career match for difficulty, but also luxury. So
well, I also suspect. So let's like talk about something that's been bothering me for the last week. Everybody seems to be acting like Vanya and Carly, the owners of Apex Optics, who put this on, are idiots, and they can't figure any of this stuff out for themselves. Like, and Vanya knows that he would prefer that the hit percentage be like that 80-85% range. He knows that first place hit a 70%.
mm-hmm.
He knows that in his next match, he's going to try to make some alterations to get closer to that 80-85% hit rate. He's not a dummy. And I think what people aren't talking about enough is the fact that this is their first match. And you have to get data before you can alter the data. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So make no mistake, he was talking about the 70% hit rate before the banquet even started. He was aware of that before the banquet even started.
Well, that should
before
have
the
been
awards.
painfully aware day one, right? Or even
He's not dumb, but you also can't really ask him to like call a halt in the middle of the match and say, "Let me just go, move these targets 50 meters closer."
Yeah.
So I was
You know
just
what I
going to
mean?
say that like I'm sure there was a lot voiced that weekend. The hell of it is, you're in it now.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you what? I mean, I get that people are complaining, they're upset, they're hot and cranky, maybe hungry. They feel like they're doing shitty and wasting ammunition or whatever the sentiment is, and you go and complain. Does anybody really expect that he's going to do something about it right then and there? And I'm certain the match director is like, fuck. You know what? Maybe this was a little bit aggressive, and I'm taking this in. Obviously, he's watching, or they are watching. Everybody involved with setting up the match is watching. So now you're gathering data to make those changes. But do you really need to be reminded every fucking stage about somebody's problem with a particular prop or target or grass or the toilet paper wasn't soft enough or whatever, right?
It was four-ply.
What am I going to do about it?
Four-ply.
The toilet paper was definitely soft enough.
Yes.
I can tell you the toilet paper was soft enough.
Yeah.
So I think you're right, Kurt. The only thing that any event coordinator can do at that point is do their best to make sure that everybody is comfortable. Those are the things that you can change on the fly. And I mean, to constantly have two side-by-sides running back and forth across the line to provide people with snacks and Gatorade and water and making sure that everybody has shelter and shade and toilets. Like, I don't think anybody in their right mind can argue that they didn't try to pull the red carpet out as far as gun matches go.
They also gave rides
there was
too.
an oversight.
Let's not forget that.
Say again.
Yeah,
Mike?
that's right. Yeah.
If you were on stage 18, if I was like, "Okay, I got 4 shooters left," they're sending side by sides to come pick you up, so you don't have to walk the entire course of fire back to stage 1.
Oh,
Yeah.
I get the feeling maybe the Gatorade and water and snacks and that was all good, but maybe they overlooked the need for Kleenex.
Oh, I would gladly use that toilet paper on my face to cry.
And stuffies for the really affected.
Well, we didn't have Jens there
marginalized
for the
shooters.
emotional support hugs.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think that's where he lacked is during the morning safety meeting. There was not somebody designated for emotional support hugs. So that left a lot of shooters confused.
I have the solution for next year's match.
Mm-hmm.
I will shoot next year just to make everybody feel better about their performance.
And everybody gets to watch.
I will be the equalizer for the difficulty level of the match. Everybody will feel better about themselves after I come off of that line.
Okay, will you guys allow me to address one more thing to close this out, and then we'll get on to a different subject that we talked about earlier that I'm sure everybody's talking about anyway.
Sure.
Okay, so that's not the one, but okay, thanks for whoever put that up.
Yeah.
EM Precision Rifles. Oh, go ahead and put that up again so I can read it, damn it.
Oh, sorry.
The administration of the match was absolutely top notch. There was some course of fire challenges, but it's a first match and they can only get better. And Blind Spotter quite a while ago now had really good points. Honestly, he says, in my opinion, there's a way to design stages where a total noob gets 1 to 3 out of 10, An average shooter gets 4 to 8 out of 10, and the top guys get 7 to 10 out of 10. A huge number of shooters getting zeros indicates an issue with the stage design. And for myself, not having been there and only hearing feedback from you guys and a few others, I would tend to agree. And I think that is obvious to everyone that was probably there. And I'm certain that's being taken into consideration. I mean, you guys just expressed that Vanya.
They busted their
to the
ass
face of
in more
somebody
ways
with a
than people
fucking
will
big
realize.
frown. Oh yeah,
Like,
for sure.
people do not know how much they worked and how hard they worked on this, and I'm so glad they did, and I cannot wait for next year's match.
Yeah,
And I will volunteer again gladly.
Yeah,
Al
the
Homer
thing that I've
chimes
been
in. Van Carley and all the volunteers did an amazing job. I don't have anything negative to say about the match. Thank you, Alan.
The thing that kind of scares me about something like this, people come away with a sour taste or a bad experience, whether it was truly a bad experience or they just didn't have a good showing, whatever the case is. If you lose shooters, you lose the sport. If you lose enough, right? And I'm sure the event organizers feel the exact same way. They don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's clear by the sounds of it that they went to great lengths to make the experience one to remember. They'll learn about this. They'll learn and they'll make adjustments, I'm sure. And if it's true what you guys are saying, and I'm certain it is, top shooters in a PRS Pro Series you should have them in that 85% range. They'll probably strive for precisely that.
We had a top shooter in the 70%.
Yeah. Also, that's one thing I want to touch base on is he's the winner of the match was Canada's own Chase Beckley. And Chase
14
Beckley,
14 bloody years old.
At 14 years old.
Everybody. Can't even drive. Whooped all our asses.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Also, to
Good
put in
for
perspective, too, Clay Backsetter was there.
Blackketter.
Blackketter, sorry. Clay Blackketter was there. Clay placed second at the 2023 AG Cup. The absolute finale of PRS in the States. He actually won the first 2 days of the competition. So how the AG Cup works is there's 30 shooters that qualify, get invited. The first 2 days, the bottom of 15 are eliminated, and the last day is winner takes all. So Clay had won the first 2 days and came in second place on the third day, and that's why he got second place. Chase Beckley, Canadian shooter, 14 years old, beat him.
Good for him. Hey.
Congrats to Chase. You are a great athlete, hard worker, and very mature and humble young man, and we're all very proud of you.
And an amazing attitude and a pleasure to RO as well.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a good kid.
We are witnessing the GOAT, as the young people would call it, in my opinion. So
awesome.
Yeah.
This is pretty awesome too, I think. GMG3 Precision says, God willing, we'll be making next year's match, and more than likely we'll be driving from South Texas. Maybe we'll fly, not sure. That's pretty amazing. That's awesome. Crazy awesome. Well, thanks, GMG3
The more the merrier.
Precision.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah. This
I'll
is
RO
what we
you
strive for
anytime.
at these events. All right. You guys were itching to get into a different topic. I don't know that anybody's
Trump.
Okay, match talk closed. Let's talk about the Trump.
Okay, well here's the first question. Was Donald Trump shot, or was Donald Trump grazed?
Grazed.
Yeah.
You hit him, but you didn't really hit him.
I
You
would say-
grazed him.
That's it. Yeah.
I'd say
I think
both.
Those only counts in
Yeah.
horseshoes, hand grenades, and shit fights. So
Mhm.
I think
I mean-
most people that say that he was grazed are trying to say that, like, they're trying to minimize the fact that a bullet missed piercing his brain by about an inch.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't matter most.
That we're arguing semantics, but he got grazed.
mhm. So he
And
got
he's still running
injured.
around out in the wild.
Yes.
Yep, golf for the next day.
That's Bending Ballistics has been itching to get in here. He's laid down the same comments earlier in the show. Bad timing, Bender, but we'll pick it up now. He says they're saying that there are 3 shooters now.
No, they're not. The fucking flat earthers are saying that there were 3 shooters.
They still
All
haven't
I
figured
know-
out who shot JFK, and we're already on 3 shooters on this.
I mean, come on.
Also, wherever they got these 3 shooters, they need to look for better 3 shooters. Like
They all suck.
they all sucked.
Well, I think 2 of them choked.
2 of them didn't show up.
Yeah, two of them choked so badly they weren't even there.
Yeah, they're like, hell no. Like, I'll take
Well, you
the
know,
money, but
Fucking
I'm not
millennials
showing up.
don't have any work ethic.
Well, the roof is too sloped. That's why.
Mhm.
Guys, I'm just going to reserve judgment on the whole thing until I see the Zapruder film.
What
So you
can
think
be
there's a
asserted
family of people
without
that
evidence
follow-
can be dismissed without evidence. So,
Yeah, exactly, right? Bending
Yeah.
says, yes, they are, Chris. I do believe, Bending, that the flat earthers are saying there were 3 shooters.
Going back to another gem of a comment, Yenzi goes, it turns out the slope roofs are way too dangerous even for professionals. I know I put that
Well,
up there
you-
before, but it was too good to
You know where
not
that
do
came
it
from,
again.
right?
Yeah,
Do you guys know where that? Yeah, the head of the Secret Service is saying that she stationed people inside the building instead of on the building because the sloped roof was a safety concern,
Yeah.
despite the fact that the 2 sniper teams were on roofs with a higher grade slope than the shooter's roof.
mhm.
And yet nobody on the
Yeah.
perfectly good water tower where you could have seen everything.
Right.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yen says, what about the lady from the Secret Service? So the day that it happened, I'm watching all these replays with my brother in Calgary, and they show the scene of the lady trying to reholster her rifle, which is like halfway around to her back. That obviously everyone has seen by now. She couldn't reach that far back. And my brother goes, when did Pat from Saturday Night Live join the Secret Service?
And like not a single RMR on any of their service pistols, like not even flashlights. I'm like, you're the Secret Service. I want to see Gucci ass service pistols the whole way through.
Well, and this is the thing, and yes, that lady knows as much about
No.
firearms as it appears Chris does, because it wasn't a rifle; it was a damn sidearm. But now they're talking like there's because
Oh,
they
did
weren't
I say
actually-
rifle?
some of them at least. Yeah, you did.
I
Some of them.
meant
We know what you meant. You're cute. It's okay. They're saying that there weren't enough Secret Service personnel, so they hired contractors and some local law enforcement. I guess I think what they were saying was local law enforcement was inside
meant to say her
that building. Where the hell
Fuck.
is Chris right now?
How do you not have service in Saskatchewan? It's flat.
Just like the rest of the earth.
Yeah, the radio goes over that. It doesn't worry about it. Needs to stop things in the way to stop it.
I don't know. He's quiet, so I'm assuming he's kind of out.
If anyone's looking for some good memes, I recommend the gun meme review from Brandon Herrera. There were some gems in the memes regarding the Secret Service. How many presidents are they still protecting? There's what? Bush and Clinton. That's it.
Yeah.
For former presidents.
And Obama.
Oh, yeah. So
yeah,
what?
Well, Obama's going to be your step-in president here right away, I think.
Did Jimmy Carter die yet? Is Jimmy Carter still kicking around?
I think Carter might be still kicking around.
I don't know.
He's still got a detail. If he's because they still know stuff, even if you're not a president. Like you knew some sketchy stuff, we're gonna give some people to you. But
the Secret Service does follow you around for the rest of your life once you're president. It just it's a fact. So
we in Canada just give you more taxpayers' money for the rest of your
No. In Canada, you get a 303 that's been sporterized, and you're on your own.
No, you don't get that even. Thanks for.
Well, we're not going to give you a full number for. We have
now. You're on the payroll forever. Yeah. Anyway, what else about that? I don't know. It's kind of been beat to death and analyzed to death and opinioned and everything else. And it seems like every day there's breaking news.
Breaking news. He was not that far away. Helen Keller could have made that shot.
Well, and this is so people have been asking me, hey, Kurt, if that was you, could you have made that shot? And I'm like, well, first of all, I wouldn't have taken that shot, so no. But I'm like, yeah, all day, every goddamn day. You see the size of Trump's head? Like, come on.
Trump's what are they saying? A small dude. He's
yards? It's huge.
Huge. Nobody's head is bigger.
6'7". He's like 286.7. He's a big dude.
I've got the best head. Nobody has a head like mine.
Frankly, other people wanted to see me, but no, I was the best. Trump is terrible. I'm sorry.
I actually saw that bullet coming. I dodged it in the nick of time.
Nick of time.
Yeah. Also, I got a comment. I don't know if any of you caught any of the RNC. There was spectators that had put their own bandages on their own ear.
Shut up. Oh,
no, that's
cheesy.
It's very true. I mean, I know that national conventions in the States, they get kind of weird. Like the Wisconsin people were wearing cheese on like the foam cheeses on their head. So I get it's kind of like a bit of a bit of an exotic show, but that just seemed a little bit weird to me.
No,
like,
it's just a Green Bay Packers game.
I understand the cheese hats, but the ear bandage, not so much.
They're in solidarity with the guy who got grazed.
Mm-hmm.
Right. In solidarity. Fuck, I hate that word now. Like, fuck off. Yeah, okay, enough bending. God,
yeah.
What a terrible damn thing.
As a guy who's had frequent nosebleeds, tampons, like, they stop.
That's the answer.
They have one job and they do it well.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting dark in here, all that smoke outside.
So I know I dropped for a couple of minutes there, but did we talk about the fact that the guy was caught with a rangefinder 20 minutes before he took a shot at Trump?
We did not bring that up.
We didn't, but
yeah, definitely a complete failure of multiple people. The multiple people being, i.e., the protective people that spotted that, and also the guy that attempted to take Trump's life also failed.
Yeah.
So I think the only person that won that day was
investigate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they'll investigate themselves and find themselves free of any wrongdoing.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, they're not the RCMP, Richard.
No, I would say they're far more accomplished and competent than the RCMP. Sorry,
Can I
any
say something about the
RCMP that are
Secret Service
listening, by the
sniper?
way. Yeah. All of them.
Can we
All of them.
comment on the Secret Service? How he had a triple leg tripod, but really you should have just a long double engagement stage. You know, complete noob on that rooftop.
Yeah, you should write a letter to the FBI.
I will. Like
Those
the new
suggestions.
Fat Boys are great. You're like one single action, boom, boom, your legs are down. He had like 3 different stages, very hard to deploy on the clock. I'm going to dock the Secret Service for that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna critique his performance.
Yeah,
So,
I'm sure they'd be receptive.
Mike's Tripod Skills Education
obviously-
Center.
I don't even use a tripod, and I knew that. well, if that's what they're sending, obviously they do need help.
I don't disagree with you, Mike. Yeah. All right.
It's interesting that the only person that came out as a winner that day was Donald Trump himself. Even though he could have died, he like that photo of, you know, his fist in the air, the blood on the side of his cheeks, and the Secret Service agents around him. That's the rallying cry that has really unified a lot of people. And yeah, he actually came out the winner that day, even though he just about died. Everybody else is a loser. The Democrats, the Secret Service, the guy on the roof, everybody else is a loser except for Donald Trump.
People that subscribe to OnlyFans.
Yeah, I don't think there's too much question that he's going to be their next president.
Oh yeah, they just solidified it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some speculation now that there's more going to happen now because of this. There was an attempt on Trump's life. Now the sneaky people behind the scenes in that are going to stage an assassination of Biden, just to kind of come back to equilibrium for the Democrats.
They'll put
him after all.
Putting him on
And the lizard people are finally going to reveal themselves and enslave us all.
Yes.
And they're going to be burning the black candles this time, not the green ones.
I've been creating my banners. Mm-hmm. Take me with you. All right. Did we beat this one to death?
I think we did.
I think we covered some topics.
Okay.
We did some things.
Well, should we close it out?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Shout out.
All right. For any of you that are still with us, bless your hearts. Get a life. Check us out on facebook.com/BS Podcast. Leave a review. Let us know how we're doing. If you like the content, please leave a like on the page and share. Also, email us with any questions you might have. We'd like to hear from you. Email info@bspodcast.ca. And again, as always, we'd like to thank all of our sponsors for showing up for us every year. Without you, we couldn't do what we do every week or so. Jens, I don't want to hear a damn word out of you. We'd like to thank again Shane and Steve with EM Precision Rifles, Miles, Carey, and Cappy with call sign 66, Duncan and Rob at Bolt Action Coffee, Phil Odell at Odell Engineering, Doug and Nisa with Mark Scopes Canada, Vanya and Carly with Apex Optics, Oscar with Ribstone Gunsmithing, and J.R. Cox at The Shooting Edge. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone who showed up. Who's got the button here? Anybody got the button?
I want to give a quick shout out before we end it.
Sure.
I want to thank Van and Carly for all the work they did putting on this match this weekend. Mm-hmm. People will not realize how much time and effort they put into this, and I appreciate that they did it. I will be glad to volunteer for them next year when we have the second Rocky Mountain Classic.
I think most people have that same sentiment too.
Yeah, and a big
also,
shout out
this
to
merch is fantastic.
A big shout out to all the sponsors of the match that helped put it together, including some of our own, like EM Precision Rifles, J.R. Cox at The Shooting Edge, providing the truck and trailer. Nice. There's a ton of them.
Nice.
So
don't
ultimately,
forget,
having matches is the reason why we shoot. If there was no matches,
Absolutely.
we'd just be going to the range on a Sunday morning with ourselves. So let's very much so thank them. So
I don't know why, but you seem to have forgotten to thank Ballistically Speaking and Storied Knives for sponsoring the food for the ROs.
yes,
That was your job.
Well, I'm on the road.
You were literally at the match. You live streamed it.
Yes.
Oh, Kurt, how was watching the live stream? Just
That was pretty good. I mean, I'm sitting there trying to work and got this playing in the background any chance I could get, which wasn't often at all. But it was good, and it's tough to set up cameras, looking down range through a scope and having one at your guys' location, and reception wasn't all that great at times and that, but it was good. You know what? I thought it was great that we kind of stepped into a bit of a different game for this podcast. That commentary actually was really good. It's too bad we couldn't have had more coverage. I mean, it's something that we can look at more in the future, but it's nice to be able to have that if people want to tune in and kind of get a feel for what's going on at the match. Like it's great to have that commentary, and aside from Shane, I know he's listening. Listening to some of the competitors comment on the stages and that too. So,
but the concept was
solid.
Yes.
What's that?
The concept was solid, is what you're saying. Just the execution.
Yeah,
you need to fine tune it a bit.
I will say, I think my comment on that is
a nice small half. Sorry, I was going to say all we need is a $500,000 loan for the professional equipment, and we should be in business.
Yeah.
Minor. My comment on that too is I think that live stream is actually be a good resource for new shooters. Because basically it's kind of like watching game footage, like watching pro hockey players, same thing. Okay, here we're breaking down the stage. What is this shooter doing right? What is this shooter doing wrong? What is their strategy? Suggest if you're a new shooter, maybe listen to us. Maybe we're full of shit. Maybe we're not, but have a listen to the live stream. So
right.
But I think being able to actually see the target, and we were lucky on that the first day, there was only one target, so we could boom, you can tell if they hit it or not.
Yeah.
Evan chipes in. I thought it was great and enjoyed the live stream. Great idea for people that have never been to a match. Thank you for that.
Perfect.
Yeah,
awesome.
Much appreciated to hear that feedback. So,
okay. All right. Well, thanks a lot, fellas. That was good. You can only get so much from texts and that from various people, how the match went, how it was set up, and the experiences and that. It was great to hear first.
It was an awesome match. I didn't shoot great, but it was me. Yeah. It wasn't anything else.
You're the type of guy though, Mike, that you don't really give a shit. You'll go do your level of effort and have fun and smile as much as is possible with you. And
I can only go up.
The rest
from here.
doesn't matter. Look at that. Light up a room, you.
I know what I need to work on now. So
that's true. Okay, folks. Thanks, guys. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We will see you next week.
All right.
But some of these bullets, as you saw, have an incendiary device on the tip of it, which is a heat-seeking device.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Welcome to your weekly dose of BS, the Ballistically Speaking podcast.